I've done a lot of onboarding recently, and what we have talked about with my clients, and I've actually gotten a lot of clients who they didn't actually enjoy their past experience, and they got really frustrated, and then they stopped looking. There are certain things that you should do before you go out and actually see houses. But I don't want the consumer going in. I don't want my clients going in and not being able to truly look at the house for what it is, because they're always just kind of worried about, like, in the background, like, what is this house even going to cost? Like, can we even afford this? I want to get to know you, what your motivations are, who's coming with, mom and dad coming with, or is this like just you guys? Is there a sister? Is there a cousin? Is there a best friend? Whatever. And so in the end, we actually really pride ourselves on this process. It's a very, very good system, and it's also very efficient. And it's efficient for my team, which is great because we don't spend a lot of time in the car just running out and like feeling things out, but we also can onboard a lot of clients and service them because what we do acts as an accelerant. Welcome back to another episode of Moving Sucks. I am your host, Seth with the SLG Team at Real Broker. Wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about other agents and the training that I give our agents and the process that I have developed over the years. So the Philadelphia market has kind of jailbroken. It's a lot of buyers are coming out of the woodwork, a lot of sellers. It's still tight. It's not like you can just go out and get a house on a whim, but I've done a lot of onboarding recently, and what we have talked about with my clients, and I've actually gotten a lot of clients who don't they didn't actually enjoy their past experience, and they got really frustrated, and then they stopped looking. So now that we've cleared the new year, everybody is now starting to kind of come back into the fray, and they are ditching their old real estate agent. I firmly believe, and I talk with people all over the agents all over the country about this. I'm lucky to be at a brokerage where, like, I can have conversations with agents in all 50 states on a weekly basis, because there's lots of national masterminds and that type of thing. So I always like to kind of take a look at what's going on in other markets, because the Northeast usually goes last in terms of buyer behavior, seller behavior, economic trends. The Northeast is just a more solidified economic environment, and that is why it's slower to do everything. It's not nearly as volatile, but also the habits of those agents are important to understand. And I like to take all that and bring it back to my clients. And what I mean by that is that there are certain things that you should do before, and I'm going to talk mostly about buyers today. There are certain things that you should do before you go out and actually see houses. So what'll generally happen is Bob and Sally Smith will say, "Hey, listen, I'm ready to, we're ready to buy," and the agent gets all excited. Says, "Hey, well, like, send me what you're looking at, and we can set up a showing." We don't do that here. We get very, very granular and very, very clear on what you're looking for, and very clear on the financing before we even see a house. Now, if there's a house that's you're renting down the street, and there's a house that's being held open on that Sunday, like, sure, like, we can go out and see it. But if there is somebody who is trying to find a house and they want to formally start a home search, it is important that there are steps taken prior to going and seeing homes. And the reason that is because getting clarity on those two aspects, which is like what you're looking for and how much it's going to cost, really expedites the process. So what the main issue with what most agents do is they don't get that clarity for the client, and they spend a lot of time in their car, a lot of time going out and seeing things. A lot of times the client gets in the car, and it's like that house wasn't quite the right fit. And the agent really thinks that, like, getting them out to see a house is really the way to get that clarification. And I do not, and our team does not do that. What we do is we have a questionnaire. We've got a simple process, and we have at least 3 meetings before we ever get in the car and see anything. And the reason we do that is because we have 2 puzzles really that we have to put together. It's the logistical puzzle, which is the house, where it is, what it is, does it have 2 baths, 1 bath, 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, whatever. And then the financial piece. Because my goal is that when you go and see houses, I want most of this to be kind of answered. Okay. Now we can get the numbers all dialed in, but we won't know exactly what that payment is until we actually find the house, see what it costs, taxes, if there's an HOA or whatever. But I don't want the consumer going in. I don't want my clients going in and not being able to truly look at the house for what it is, because they're always just kind of worried about, like, in the background, like, what is this house even going to cost? Like, can we even afford this? And it's not even a conscious question. It is literally just like a hum in the back of doubt. You know, the same thing with the house. Like, did we truly like talk about what we're looking for? A lot of agents will go out and just start like showing them a bunch of different stuff to like kind of suss out what they're looking for. And like that can work. But I found most people don't have time for that. And a lot of times what will happen is you show them 3, 4, 5 houses that aren't hitting the mark. They kind of start to lose interest. They're like, no, this isn't, I'm not getting anywhere. I don't feel that I'm getting the clarification I need in order to make a decision. And people are more impatient now than ever, and they get frustrated very quickly. So what we do at our team is we get very, very clear with an initial onboarding call. And then what we do is we have a call with our lender, and the agents, myself and our team, hop on with the lender and the client. At that time, we then have them apply for a mortgage. And then we have a wrap up call, which is essentially we get on with the lender again after the application's in, and we get clarity on that. And then we kick our lender off the call and we go over our questionnaire. And at the end of those 3 meetings, the consumer has more understanding of what they are looking for than if you showed them 10 houses. Certainly a lot better idea of the numbers. And again, what the idea here is that if we do these 3 meetings, it's all done virtually, all by Zoom, and they each are about a half hour. That is like a replacement for all those showings that the typical agent will take them out and like kind of feel them out, get to know them and do all that. Those 3 calls, I get to know them very, very well because I have very specific questions that I ask. I want to get to know you, what your motivations are, who's coming with, mom and dad coming with, or is this like just you guys? Or is there a sister? Is there a cousin? Is there a best friend? Whatever. And so in the end, we actually really pride ourselves on this process. It's a very, very good system, and it's also very efficient. And it's efficient for my team, which is great because we don't spend a lot of time in the car just running out and like feeling things out. But we also can onboard a lot of clients and service them because what we do acts as an accelerant to what to the home search. There is very oftentimes I show less than 5 houses before an offer is placed. And other agents ask me how that is, and I explain that like we don't just run out show homes. And so we have at least 4 clients who had agents in the past, and that's exactly what they did. And they just didn't feel like they had any idea. And this is the common comment. It's like we just felt like they didn't know what we were looking for. And honestly, I don't blame the agent. I don't blame the agent. The agent's still trying to figure out what they're looking for, but they don't think about this the right way. And listen, there's a lot of amazing agents out there, but there's a lot of agents who were never taught how to do this, and they've never actually taught about like a sales process. And again, we do not sell houses; we facilitate the sale of houses. Can't sell a house; it's too slow. But what we do is we really, really, really try to get very, very particular and granular, while keeping things in the beginning kind of broad, especially geographically, on exactly what they're looking for. And I just got off a call last night where they don't know if they want to buy a starter home or a forever home. And I said, well, let's just look at both. But let's talk about both before we actually go out and see it. What does that house look like? What does that payment look like? Because a starter home really is essentially, I mean, yeah, you have less room. You're not going to be there forever, but it's really about payment too. What does that payment go? What does that payment look like where you can service that mortgage and pay that mortgage, but then still save for the forever home? And putting that puzzle together is very, very empowering. And so you'll see on my calls, and we do everything by Zoom. It's like, and you see people just kind of nodding up and down. They're like, yes, this makes sense. I like this. I like this. I like this. That is really powerful. And just something to think about. If you are out there looking for a house and you were just thrown into houses and like, hey, let's just go out and see some stuff. And you got thrown onto an MLS portal. Hey, do you like this one? Hey, do you like that one? And you haven't actually been asked the right questions. and you're being asked to go out and see stuff just to like get that clarity, you might want to think about asking them for another call to say, hey, listen, I really just want to go over exactly what we're looking for again. Because that is the number one complaint. Like I said, that is the number one complaint. It's like, I just don't feel like they were listening to me. I don't feel like they knew what we were looking for. And it really, a lot of times, it's not the agent's fault in terms of like not having the talent to find the house they're looking for. They just never asked the right questions to truly understand what that was. So just wanted to get on here real quick and talk about that, especially it's February 16th, when we're recording this. Wanted to get on here because there's going to be a lot of agents and a lot of clients talking to each other in the next 2 weeks, getting ready for this spring market. Keep in mind, if you have a house to sell and you have to buy, this is even more important. You're not going to have the time. No, if you're young, if you're like under the age of 40 and you got young kids and you don't have time to do all this and run out and drag these kids all over the place on the weekends and go through all this, ask your agent for if they have a process on how to get this clarity on the up front. Also, your agent or your lender should be fully on board with this program and understand exactly what's happening. So we here at the SLG team in Philly, we have questionnaires, we have forms, and everyone that we put our people in contact with are an extension of that philosophy, which is just education, clarity, and efficiency. So hope you guys find that helpful. Thanks so much for listening. If you guys are watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Or if you want to reach out to me, it's on Instagram, Ask Seth Anything, or at Moving Sucks Podcast. All right, see ya.